Well, hello there, Stacey Murphy here from growyourownvegetables.org, and I wanted to share a quick video here with you, a tale of two plants, because when you're just getting started growing your own vegetables and herbs, sometimes you wonder, is it all worth it? So I wanted to compare the street value of these two plants so that you can start to think about what your garden is worth and what kind of plants that you might want to add to your garden in the future. All right, so here's the deal. When I moved into the house I'm currently in. I've got 11 housemates, and one of my awesome housemates who moved back to Colombia, he left behind two plants. He left behind a African blue basil, which is behind me here, and he left behind an avocado tree that he had started from seed. So when this plant behind me, when he left, this plant was about this tall. It was a little bit bushy, but it was about this tall. And now it's a pretty giant bush that you can see behind me here. And I'll talk about the street value of this plant over the years in just a moment. And then he also left behind an avocado tree in a big pot. And when he left it behind, it was about this big, and now it's quite a bit larger. So here's the deal. When he first left these two plants behind, my experience is that I love growing vegetables and herbs because here's the deal. They're fast. They're fast food to your plate. And I was like, I'm very happy to take care of that basil plant for you. I'm Italian. I'm going to put that plant to use. And guess what? Here's the street value of this basil plant over time. Remember, it started this big. So pretty much every week in the last 2 years that I've had this plant, I've been harvesting from this and putting food on my plate pretty much every meal. And the amount of basil that I use, I'm Italian, I use it in a lot of different dishes. I probably use at least a half a bunch a day. Some days I use more than others. I'm about to make a big basil pesto quinoa salad, and so I let the plant flower behind me. It's got tons of these awesome flowers on it, because guess what? These flowers are what make pesto awesome. This is the secret sauce to amazing pesto, is lots of flowers. So anyway, so this plant, I probably have eaten about a half a bunch of this per day for the last 2 years. I'm growing year-round outdoors here in San Diego. It thrives in the summer and in the winter. And if you go to the store, you would buy like $3 per bunch. That means that this plant behind me, I've harvested probably upwards of $550 worth of basil per year off of just this one plant. Now this basil plant is special. I just want to tell you that. A lot of basil plants are not perennial like this one. This is one of the very few perennial basil plants available. It's called African blue. And basically it's been hybridized. The seeds are not really viable. And so basically what happens is when the plant sends out these flowers, it doesn't really produce seeds that are viable. And so the plant still thinks that it wants to stay alive because it really hasn't sent out new seeds. So that's what makes it perennial. Plane going by, wind, sorry for all the noise. So anyway, so this is a very special basil plant. $550 per year for the last 2 years. This basil plant has produced over $1,000 worth of food for me personally, and I know my housemates use it too. So that's pretty significant, right? So that's the power, in my opinion, of vegetables and herbs. They're like instant gratification. They are instant food. And so if you're new to growing food, I would highly recommend growing herbs and vegetables that produce a lot right away. Think of it like fast food. Like instead of the grocery store being convenient, how convenient is this coming out and just grabbing some basil to make some pesto whenever I want to? I have a potluck today, so I'm going to make a big batch. All right, so that's the street value of this plant. Now the avocado plant. So it's gone from a similar size, like it started out this big, the basil plant started out this big, this basil plant now a big bush, and the avocado tree is bigger, but still no avocado because it's only 2 years old. So avocado trees take a good 5 to 7 years to produce fruit. So I have seen no food. I've been watering this plant. I've been taking care of this plant. I've been making sure it doesn't get any diseases. We've been keeping it healthy. We've been adding nutrients when we need to. And I've been doing, you know, it's not a whole lot of work to deal with it, but it's work and it takes up space, right? And so this whole time I've been telling everybody in the house, like, why are we keeping this plant around? Like, we don't have a place to even plant it. Why are we keeping it? And we kept taking care of it, because it was from somebody in our house who had started this tree. So we're like, we should care for it. We don't know where it's going to land, but we should care for it. And wouldn't you know it, now it's 2 years later, and we had to redo our retaining wall. And in the process, we had to take out a lemon tree. And so now we have space actually to put in a new tree. And guess what we're going to plant? We're going to plant that avocado tree. So in a couple years from now, it might take another 5 years or so, but that tree will start to produce avocados. Now, not right away, but soon after that, it's possible that that avocado tree can produce between 200 and 300 fruit per year. And guess what the street value of that? Well, if you do like $2 per avocado, that means that that tree could potentially be $500 worth of avocados each year, depending on how much it produces. And avocado, the thing is that when you have a basil plant, it's totally predictable. You know exactly what's going to happen. You keep cutting it back and it keeps growing back. It's predictable. It's why I like vegetables and herbs. They're very predictable. Fruit and nut trees, not necessarily as predictable. So this avocado tree could be all over the map. So when you're thinking about what you want to plant in your garden and what kind of garden you want to have, there are these plants that are quick fixes. These are for people with short attention spans. Vegetables and herbs are for people with short attention spans, all right? Quick, fast food. If you are somebody who has a big yard, you know you're going to be around for a while, think about what it would mean to plant something like an avocado tree and to have all your avocados taken care of for the year. That's a significant amount of food, but you have to have the space and the time to do it. Or it's a gift to the future generation. So the next people who live here, I might not get to enjoy this avocado, but we're planting this tree, and maybe down the road in a couple of years, future housemates are going to enjoy these avocados and be like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that these people planted this tree. So what I want you to do when you're thinking about planning your garden, think about, you know, those quick fixes, those things that are like instant gratification. Those are like herbs. And then when you have a longer attention span, when you have more space and you have a future that you're thinking of, that's when you start to think about fruit and nut trees, all right? So that's why I grow vegetables. That's why my website is growyourownvegetables.org, is because they are instant gratification. They're fast food on the table. I see instant groceries. And so if you're looking for some of those things that are going to produce quickly, I recommend looking at vegetables and herbs first. Now, I mentioned this is a very special basil plant. So how does this compare to other basil plants? So if you were to go buy a little basil plant and plant it on a garden, on a countertop or out in your garden, you might see several bunches of basil come out of that over the course of the season, but you may not get this, what I'm getting here with this one plant. So there are different varieties of plants that will give you different amounts of food. So as you get more experience, you'll recognize which plants are going to give you the biggest yield per plant. Getting started, just plant some herbs that are going to give you some quick wins that you're going to get to enjoy on a daily basis, putting them on top of your food, all right? So in the comments below, let me know, what are some of your favorite plants that are quick to produce food for other people? And then if you're just getting started gardening, think about what are the plants that you would like to grow because you eat a lot of them. What would make a big difference in your diet? What could you grow that you could put a lot of food on your table, the things that you enjoy most? What are those plants that you want to grow? And what does that timeline look like? Is it an instant gratification, or is it, a couple of years down the road? I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, share in the comments below. I'd love to hear what kind of plants you're looking for in order to enjoy all that fresh food that comes out of the garden. What's the thing that's going to make it so memorable to have your garden? What are you going to enjoy the flavor of most, brag about to your neighbors? Because that's how your garden becomes successful. It's when You know you're getting the wins that you want. You know you're getting the food you want, and you just keep going. And that's what I want for you. So it's going to take a couple baby steps to get there, but you could have food for a year out of one plant. Isn't that amazing? So comment below and check out growyourownvegetables.org for more. Take care, you guys. Love you.